Welcome to Chronicles of Old Singapore. This is Dr. Loh KS, and I speak to people about Singapore before it became a global city. And today, we are going to talk about the northern part of Singapore. We have talked about this before, called Sembawang. We had two former guests, R. Ashokan, who talked about living in Yishun and coming to Sembawang. And then Joel Chandran, who lived in Jalan Sembawang Kecil. Both of them know the naval base quite well. But today, we are very pleased to have with us a guest who actually lived inside the naval base. So, as some of you might not know, there were Asian workers, employees of the British naval base who lived inside the naval base. There were staff quarters for the naval base. And we have with us one of those residents who lived with his parents after the Second World War in a specific area of the naval base. So here to talk more about that area and what the naval base meant to him, as well as what the naval base and the dockyard inside meant to him and how it changed when the British military forces pulled out of Singapore and the naval base closed down in the late 1960s, is Mr. Wan Chan Peew. Hi, Peew. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
From Palmerston North, New Zealand.
What time is it over there?
This is now 2:20 p.m. New Zealand time.
So that's about 4 hours, yeah?
Yes, it's 4 hours.
All right. So the listeners who would maybe want to know that, I corresponded with Pew for the first time almost 15 years ago, right? In January 2010. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
I'm not sure how I got to know about you, but someone must have recommended that I speak to you. And Pew very patiently answered all my questions many times. So it's a great pleasure. I've always wanted to meet him somehow. Do you still come to Singapore, Pew?
Not over the last decade.
I
haven't been back for various reasons.
New Zealand is actually quite far away, yeah?
It's only a 10-hour flight, direct flight.
It is far. It looks quite near, but actually it's far, right?
I miss Singapore in a way.
How long have you been away?
We've migrated here 32 years now. And the last time I went back was some 14 years ago.
Whereabouts are you in New Zealand?
We are residing in a little provincial town or city called Palmerston North in the North Island. And it is about the driving distance between ourselves and the capital, Wellington, is just under 2 hours one way.
So this must be quite a rustic, quiet area.
In a way, yes. Actually, it's situated in the valley between two ranges of the North Island. And at times of strong winds, we are like a funnel.
Does this kind of scenery remind you of those days inside the naval base?
Some parts.
Yeah, some parts, yeah.
Yeah, the greenery especially.
All right. So I think I want to use that, right, as a springboard to ask you about your childhood inside the naval base. Not many people know that there were staff quarters because those staff quarters that were inside the naval base are now long gone, right? Tell us where you lived and where you grew up.
All right. I was the baby boomer, pre-World War II, born in 1946, specifically in Block 14, Room 12, Kowloon Road, HM Naval Base.
Can you just maybe explain what do you mean by Room 12? There were different rooms.
In a block, it's a row of quarters, living quarters, and it's divided into rooms. They call it, there are 2 rooms to a unit. 12 units, put it that way, 12 units, 2 rooms to a unit for each family, regardless of your size of the family. And each room size, my best recollection and estimate would be about 12 feet square or 4 meters square, and about 10 foot high, quite a spacious room, actually, room space. There are 2 such similar size rooms, plus a little veranda. The kitchen, cooking area, the bathroom and toilet are separate from where we are. It's separated just by us. How do you? I can't even describe how to call it. It's not a passage or a path. It is built in such a way the kitchen and all that is in one row, facing the living quarters on the opposite. If you look at the blocks, which I've sent you some photo of, you could see how those living quarters look like.
Why don't we do that, right? Give me a minute. Let me share the screen. I think I want to start with the map first, right?
Yes.
So tell us. I'll point the mouse so that the viewer can see. Can you see it? Okay, so this is the naval base, right? The whole naval base.
Go down, bring up lower left, bring up lower left, bring up the left side, bring it a little bit more to the central. There you can see Kowloon Road.
Yep.
And my block would be the 3rd block on the right.
On the right road. Here.
Near the
1,
road.
2,
near
3.
the road.
This one?
That's the one. That's the one. That's block 14.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. I think the map is short of another block. Because next to my block was 15, 18, before the angle block, which is block 19. On the map, I might want to pull myself back to a block below to be 14.
Below, you mean like here?
No, just here. On the same, yeah. I will count that as 14 because the next will be 15, 18, and then 19, yeah.
That's strange. Why is there a missing block? So you say
there's a missing
there's
block,
a block
yeah.
here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And the block next to, which seems to start is block 11, was block 11. So we have in that row 11, 14, 15, 18, and 19. And below would be 12, 13, 16, and 17.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. I just want to pull out the map a little bit so that we can see the entirety.
Enlarge it a little bit, yeah.
Right. We won't be able to see the details, but just to give you a sense of how big this was, right? So how do you get into the naval base? You get it from the south here, right, at the bottom.
Yes, that's the gate called Canberra Gate on the one end from Sembawang, or over to the other side would be the Sembawang Gate. From the northwest end, there's another gate from Marsiling coming in, and that is called the Rotterdam Gate.
Around here? Sorry, here, right?
Marsiling.
We can't see here.
Yeah, further up, way up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There's a gate here. They say there's a gate.
There's another gate called Rotterdam Gate.
They don't name it though. Admiralty Road West, there's a gate.
Admiralty Road East first. Then you have the Sembawang Gate.
Yeah, okay.
Somewhere.
Okay, but hold on. There is another gate here, right? Canberra Road up. There's a main gate inside the, I guess,
that's the dockyard, leading to the dockyard.
Area. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the dockyard there's a King George the 6th dock here.
Dry dock, yeah.
Yeah.
They call it the graving dock, yeah.
Okay. All still fresh in your memory.
Very much so, yes.
And tell us then, these are all the British servicemen.
Living areas, yeah.
These are not barracks, though, right? Are
No,
these
no, no. These are
barracks?
all the black and white bungalows
These are all the
and
bungalows
flats
for the officers, lah,
and the flats, yeah. And they
and the
also have
flats.
6-unit flats.
Okay.
This is like at the bottom, closest to Kowloon Road area quarters. There you have Kenya Crescent.
That's right. Here.
Yeah, Kenya Crescent, Lagos Circle, and all that up. And then further up, you have Queens Avenue, Kings Avenue. Yeah. And then Malta Road, Gibraltar Crescent, and all that.
Yeah, I think should be able to see the names of the roads, right? And just
Yeah.
give it a moment to sink in, right? The names that were given to
Yeah.
these roads, right?
Right.
And what do you think is the reason why the roads have this kind of names?
Perhaps with a little bit of their own influence, the British brought back some names for themselves to remember of home.
Well,
Or
no, not
their,
really. It's Sudan, right? It's Sudan. It
or their
can't be home.
colonies.
That's right.
Or
I
their
think
colonies. Yeah. Those
it
days
is
they have places all over the world.
correct.
The empire. In Africa, they have Kenya, Tanganyika, Sudan, and all that. Rhodesia.
So it's really to express their sense of empire, right? To let people
Yes.
know who
And
come inside the naval base that this is not just a piece of land here, but this is the scale of the British Empire in those
yeah,
days. Although
even the,
it's quite sad by the time, right? That the empire has shrunk and many of these roads, like Delhi Road, no longer make sense because
right,
India had become independent, right?
correct.
But very interesting way that the empire is brought very clear to you once you step
Yes,
inside the naval base.
places like Malta Road, even Gibraltar is there.
What do you call? How do you pronounce this? Beaulieu House, right?
This is in French, Beaulieu House.
Beaulieu
Yeah,
House, right? It's still here
yeah.
today, right?
It is. I think the government today has retained it as a heritage building.
That's right. Yeah. I think there's a restaurant inside now, right?
Used to have one restaurant there for a long time, even when I was there.
And of course, the Nelson House here.
Yeah, the old Nelson Road. There's another Nelson Road at Keppel,
At Keppel, okay.
We call this here Old Nelson Road that leads to the Admiralty House on the top of the hill.
Yeah, Nelson is of course a big name in British naval history.
Lord Nelson, yeah.
That's right. Canberra Road is still around today. Yeah. So Peew,
yes.
if you come to Singapore, you find that Canberra Road is still there. We have actually a Canberra MRT station.
Yeah, yes. And also another road called Canberra Link.
Canberra Link,
Yeah. It's not on this old map, it's in the new map. I think
you mean a new place, okay?
Yeah.
So we actually create a new Canberra Link.
Yeah.
Madras Road, Kowloon Road, are these roads still around?
All expunged.
All
expunged,
gone. Huh?
Yeah.
So
all flattened and expunged.
If you go here today, what is there here?
Perhaps, just perhaps, I think Delhi Road still remains, I think.
So when you were still in Singapore, right, after the British left, what had become of these places?
Less cared for or tended to. Quite unlike when the British were there, they actually maintained very high standards of cleanliness and everything. When the British decided to pull out and handed over the assets to the Singapore government, and I think they've had a unit called the BECD, the Bases Economic Conversion Board, to look after all these facilities. And I think they must be scratching their head as to where to start with an area like that of nearly what? My guesstimate would be 25 square miles. the whole of the naval base.
Yeah.
Will be about 25 square miles. So I think they must be scratching their heads what to do and how to do the whole place. There, a bit of neglect after the British decided to pull out.
But not the whole place. Some places were already utilized, right? Like the dockyard became shipyard. And we'll talk about that later on. You were very much involved in that. But you mean that when you left Singapore around the 90s, is that right?
Early 92, yes.
Early 92. So when was the last time you went inside this area?
I was still working there until 1985.
Correct. Okay.
Shipyard.
So those staff quarters were still there in 92?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. And the roads were still there?
Yes. Everything was still intact until they decided to rebuild a new town there.
Were there people living inside those staff quarters? Who?
Yes. The employees of Sembawang Shipyard, some chose to remain in those blocks until while they were on waiting list for their respective flats.
So you still had an option to live there, huh?
Yes.
Okay. But your family moved out, right?
Shortly after that, in 75, we moved out. Yeah.
Right. Okay. These photos are kindly provided by Mr. Peew. Here is Mr. Peew. Tell us about this photo.
I'm standing at the veranda. And just behind me will be the respective two rooms in a row. And our doors are directly facing one another. The front and the back and the front, they are all in the same direction. If you can see a figure just below my leg there, that was my immediate older brother.
Oh.
Can you see in between the legs?
That's your older brother.
Yeah, he was coming up a flight of steps from his end.
Nearly missed
So
him.
we are about 24, 25 feet away, about 8 meters away from one another between us.
So the thing that struck me here is this huge window, right? I mean, this
the windows are big.
Yeah.
Really big. More than a meter square. And if you can see another photo, I got my neighbor immediately adjoining this unit where we are living. This is where I was born. This place was where I was born and grew up.
Let's go to the next one. I don't know. It's very hard to go by the order. So let's just go through.
Yes.
Okay. Is this inside the house also?
No. This is at a friend's place, the Indian girl's place, whom I know, whose father I know. And they were living on they already moved out from the living quarters and living in Sembawang in Jalan Sankam. You heard of the place?
No.
Jalan Sankam, just outside the naval base.
Okay.
So we visited them and then spent Saturday afternoon, and things like that.
Was this inside Chongpang village?
No, it's towards Kampong Wak Hassan, the northern part of the naval base.
This one?
This is one of our class secondary school class photos.
Mm-hmm. What school is that?
This is the Tanjong Katong Secondary Technical School.
Okay.
The principal is in the middle in the white shorts with stockings, late Whitey Nathan.
Yeah, which reminds me that I've got to do a separate episode with you on technical education. Okay.
And that form teacher, I'm still in contact with, that Mr. Robinson. He's in his 90s now.
Okay. Wow, that is a very long way for you to travel to school.
Oh, yes. North to south. And then I have to connect from town, city, to the east to Tanjong Katong.
This is a primary school?
Yes, the Canberra Primary School. This was when we were, I think, primary 5.
And this one was in the map earlier. This is inside the naval base, very close to the staff quarters, right?
Yes.
Amazing. This?
A neighbor and friend.
Location?
This is in the quarters, in the living quarters.
Kowloon Road.
This
What
is
is this?
the
Kowloon Road.
two-story type of living quarters, and they have the corner unit.
And this is we will skip this. All right. Okay. Tell us about this.
The road in front of us is Delhi Road, and the block above are the respective style of. In fact, you can see at least two types of different block living quarters. On the extreme right, that is the two-story one.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And then over to the near side, this is the single story, the 12-room, 12-unit type.
So yours was the single story.
Single story, 12-unit type.
Okay. Yeah. And you can see I mean, this is almost like Singapore today, right? The grass is well kept, maintained. And then there's proper drain here, proper drainage.
All concrete drains, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, all
so
concrete drains.
It wouldn't flood, right, during the rains.
Yeah. In fact, it's washed. The drains are washed, actually, by a team of laborers and all that, employed by the British.
Those laborers, do they live inside also?
Some of them do.
Okay. And this one is it your father's
departmental
time?
photo.
Or your time? Your father's time or your time?
No, my time.
Your time.
When I first got employed in the finance department.
This is the finance department. Okay.
Yes.
It's huge. Huh?
Oh, we don't have computers. We don't have even calculators.
Yeah. So you actually need a big pool, right, of people to do all the manual work, clerical work.
Yes. Interesting.
Yes. Different
those huge giant ledgers and all that.
This one is interesting. What is
this? This is the cinema, called the Naval Base Cinema.
Is this one inside or outside?
This is inside, nearer to the shipyard, nearer to the dockyard as well. This is Admiralty East Road, this one. And as you go on to your right, it meets with a roundabout in front of the main gate.
It's quite amazing to think that all these roads today, right, Admiralty East and West roads are now, they used to be inside the naval base, off limits. Now they are public roads, right? So this cinema, who can go? Anyone can go?
Anyone. They have the front stalls and back stalls seatings. Front stalls 50 cents per admission, and back stalls $1. So poor guys like us, we only spend 50 cents, so we sit in the front stalls. The British, with the whites and their families, they got a bit more money. They spend $1. They sit at the back stalls.
Right. This is a very nice photo.
Yeah, this is a two-story type, and this is 16 units, 8 below and 8 on the top. Also 2 rooms. Where I was photographed with my Indian friend, he was staying in the corner unit like this, which have an extended veranda all around.
Just now, I made a note about the window, right? How is the ventilation in these quarters?
Oh, fantastic. Very airy. Very airy. And we have the doors wide open. We hardly close the doors. When I was growing up, I didn't know what was the purpose of a key in the house.
I suppose in the early days, y'all didn't use fans, right? Do y'all have fans?
Can't afford it.
Yeah.
The hand ones, the manual ones, yeah, we do.
But they don't come with fans, right? There's no ceiling fan or
no ceiling fans. No. There's no ceiling
probably y'all didn't need it also, right?
Right, because it's pretty airy. Like those single-story blocks, we have raised blocks with standing on concrete stilts.
Yeah, right, okay.
So we have plenty of airflow.
Yeah, they seem to have kind of adapted that to the tropical climate, right?
Yes.
Like almost the kampong kind of stilts.
Even their own black and white bungalows, they stand on on those concrete sort of.
Can I ask you, what is this pillar here? These 2 pillars. Can you see?
Those are the chimneys.
Chimneys?
Chimneys, yeah.
Why would you need a chimney? Or for the kitchen?
Yeah, those days, a lot of us were still using firewood.
Okay. Okay. Uh, this
This
seems
is
to
my
be a
friend.
bit later, huh?
This is a bit colored. Same style, two-story type. Yeah, you see, this is block 2, the 2-story. The next one is 11. This is Kowloon Road, Lower Kowloon Road. That goes back up into block 14 where I live.
That missing block, you see, is it?
Yes.
And this
the two missing block, yeah.
Right.
This is 2, and the next one was block 11.
And you can see the condition is so different already, huh?
Yes. Yes.
The grass is not cut.
Not as regular.
Yeah.
Those days, when the British were looking after the whole environment, they have a department. Their office is just below this block 2. We call it the labor office, where all the grass cutters and all that report their work, and then send off, led by a team leader called a Mando.
That's right. Yeah.
And they go with sickles and everything to chop wherever is necessary. And much later in the towards the late or early 60s, they subcontracted the work to a local grass cutter.
Yeah. And this is the famous, tell us?
Edinburgh Gate.
Yeah.
This is one of the gates for both ingress and egress. And for us living in the base, inside the naval base, as we enter especially, we have to produce our identity card to show that we are residents. If we have friends who are non-residents who would like to visit us or visit the inside, then we have to sponsor that friend.
Yeah.
To sponsor that friend, that person needs to surrender his Singapore ID with the police down there, and in exchange, we're given a tag, a number tag. So that friend can spend all his hours for as long as he likes, but not overnight, and then come back out, return his number tag in exchange for his ID, and goes home. You see that little small white concrete block down there?
Yeah, you mean?
That used to be the checkpoint. Exchange.
Exchange.
Checkpoint. That's where the person exchanges his ID for the number tag before he gets inside.
And unfortunately, we did not save any of these buildings or
not
the
even
gates.
The pillars.
Yeah. Well,
instead, you see the pillars are pretty prominent and I think very commanding too. I think if you save it somewhere, to look at.
Yeah, I think if you go to this area today, this is essentially a road junction, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would be.
Okay. Your friends, yeah?
This is where friend and I, away from games, have a time of school revision, study.
And this is you in your trip
with
to Singapore.
No, this friend from Singapore visited me.
Okay.
He's an established lawyer himself, and he was my immediate, almost a neighbor. I think maybe between blocks, I think is less than 10 meters apart. So this is Haridas. He has his own law firm in Singapore, in Haridas Ho and Partners in Ocean Building. So he came to New Zealand for a business trip, and then he called me up, and we met in Auckland. This was in Auckland.
We must find a way to get you back to Singapore, to Sembawang. This is a very nice photo, Peew.
Yeah, this is Block 14, where I was born.
Okay. So
with a blank wall.
You can see now that the houses are on stilts, raised,
and then concrete stilts. Yeah.
And then there are actually stairs to climb up. Yeah.
Yeah, this is I was standing there with my guitar just now.
Okay. So you really can kind of imagine why people miss living inside the naval base and in the staff quarters, right? They're so.
Yeah,
I mean, look
these
at this
hills,
scene.
incidentally, before I forget, these hills that are in front of us and the slopes, these are our playground.
Mm.
We use when we were kids, we would use our old rags and whatnot. We don't have so many carton boxes available to us. Those days, cardboard carton boxes are hard to come by. We have lots more those plywood boxes for food and all those things. So what we use is those racks and whatnot we have at home or old towers, and we pull one another down the slope, slide down the slope, and then we'll plunk crackers in between the holes of these slopes, and then light the crackers up and then blow the slopes down. On the top, we will run about and then play cowboy and Indians. So this is our playground. The whole stretch of it.
Yeah, and then there's a space right between the houses.
Then
So,
we play our football.
okay,
Supposed to be a common rubbish dump. You see little short, low wall down there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the small perimeter wall where all the common rubbish bin is placed, and all our folks from either is free dumping anyway into those bins, and they have a team to come every morning to collect all those bins and empty them.
Right. So, since this is a restricted area, were there policemen coming around? Were there British officers coming around?
No British officers. This left to the civilian police.
And who is the civilian police? The naval
They
police.
have a civilian police force called the Naval Police Force. They have their own uniform. I think at the time they are also gazetted with the government, Singapore government, for reasons that they are allowed to carry arms for protection for various reasons,
So these are
and
locals,
they recruit locals.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They have, of course, the top guy as their own people to be the commissioner of police down there. You see how clean are those drains,
Yeah.
What we do is on a heavy monsoon, rainy day, we'll block two ends of this drain and flood it up, and then we'll swim inside.
Yeah. No wonder the British.
Now for 8-year-olds.
No wonder the British Empire went bankrupt. It was too expensive. Okay. Is this inside the naval base or near?
No, this is
Sembawang?
outside. This is at the patio, Sembawang patio, the old patio.
Where's the patio?
Just outside Sembawang gate.
Okay.
And this is just about opposite. If it's in relation to the naval base, is the entrance to Durban Road on my left, on the left of the picture. This is the.
Were these your classmates or
No,
colleagues?
Friends. The two other guys belong to a band called the Blue Flames.
Oh, okay.
Late Rusty was the drummer and Tom Jones singer. And Joe on my right here is the rhythm guitarist and saxophonist.
Were you part of the band?
No, they already established in a way. They were already being paid to play in the local bars there nightly.
I thought I saw you strumming the guitar.
I was inspired by them, you see.
Right. Okay. This is a Canberra, a naval base school?
No, Canberra Primary. This was one of our sports day, typical primary school sports day. You see our colors, house colors are all pinned to the front.
Right.
With a color code.
Amazing. And where is this?
Canberra School. The school field.
It's huge, right? It's quite big.
Not bad. You can play good. You can see me standing on the right of this Indian teacher. with my hands raised.
That's you, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is the relay race. I don't know whether it was a beanbag relay or some other relay race that we were involved in.
Yeah, you have to drop something inside the bin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this gathering.
Some of those kids are this group of old people now.
Uh,
From the sports day, some of the kids are here.
so very multiracial crowd, huh?
Oh, yes. Yes. We have all Sing, Malays, Indians, Tamils, Malayalams, and then we Chinese of different dialects, largely Cantonese.
A lot of Cantonese, right? You are Cantonese.
Largely because most of us were transferred. Our parents were transferred from Hong Kong.
Okay, I think it's just nice, right? You mentioned your parents, so tell us how your parents came to Singapore.
My parents originally were from China, from a province called Sanwei, and for various reasons, my dad, according to them, my paternal grandma, decided to move out of the Chinese mainland into Hong Kong. And that's where my dad found a job with the British dockyard there then. This was in the 30s. And when the British decided to close the Hong Kong dockyard and open or establish the Singapore dockyard, all those workers were offered a transfer of employment from Hong Kong to Singapore. And my father exercised that transfer. So he brought the family across. With him then was my mom and my eldest brother. Or two of them. Two of my older brothers. They came over.
Do you know why your father decided to take up that offer? I mean, did he have relatives who were in Singapore?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we have real close relatives. But later on, when I begin to understand the connections, I was introduced to a distant cousin who was a Mache, and that was the closest we know. And then later on, there was a same family clan name uncle who was also working in the naval base that we were in touch with. So that was, I think, really a bold guy to make the decision to bring the family.
That's right. And that was 1930. Do you know the year?
Was pre-war.
Yeah, 1930. The base was already set up, right?
Yes, dockyard was ongoing already.
Right.
The World War II broke out, 1941, 42? Yeah, he would be. Shortly after they landed, the Japanese attacked Singapore.
That's right. Yeah, and if he hadn't left, Hong Kong would have also fallen, right, to the Japanese.
Yes.
Okay, so how many people again in your family?
Then I had 3 older brothers and 4 younger sisters. I'm in between the crowd of 8. So with mom and dad, we were 10 of us in the family.
And what was your job? What was the job of your father inside the naval base in the dockyard?
He was working in the department called the foundry, where they melt and smelt pure metals of copper or composition with bronze and all that to make replacement parts for the British naval ships. Especially, for example, they will rebuild a propeller for the ship. So they have a department called the pattern makers of carpenters. They will make the shape for the propeller and bring it to the foundry where they set it in compressed sand in position while they melt the metal and then pour onto the pattern to form the shape. And when it's cool off, then they take it to the next door machine shop to fine tune the finish, get polished, and then deliver back to the ship. And other ship parts as well, they do all these replacements there in the foundry.
And your father's role in this, what did he do specifically?
He didn't want to take responsibility, so he remained a fitter.
Okay.
He was asked whether he wants to be a lead man, and he said, no, let somebody else do the leading job.
So tell us in layman terms.
He led my eldest brother into the trade.
And you too, right? But although you didn't become a fitter.
No.
Tell us in layman terms, what is a fitter?
Fitter is any tradesperson. A fitter could be an electrical fitter or mechanical fitter. You know the trade. You've been trained. You've got a trade. And those who are wanting to learn more detail theoretically as well as the practical aspect, they go under the apprenticeship scheme, a 5-year apprenticeship scheme where they pick up both theory and practical of a particular trade. So we have, for example, the main trades are shipwrights or those fitters or those tradespeople attending to the hull of the ship, the shipwrights. And then you have the engine fitters. Every part of the ship engine is their responsibility. Then you have the electrical departments doing all the electricals in part, I think electronics as well. So you have principally 3 departments called the electrical department, the mechanical department, and the constructors department. Of course, you have the other subsidiary departments like those departments where they're responsible to shape the ship hull. They roll the plates in a plate shop, or go into the engine room. You have what they call the boiler room. You have the boilers to be attended to, and then you have the pipe workers in charge of all the connecting pipes, steam or otherwise, in the ship, within the ship. So they have different departments like that: boiler makers, pipe workers. And of course, you have the general workers like the slingers, where they're responsible for lifting all this heavy stuff using the crane. But they make their own steel bound slings, wired ones, and then they use for heavy lifting. So there's an array of different trades in the dockyard itself.
It's a name for a wide-ranging number of technical vocations, right, inside.
Yeah, including painting. We find painting so simple, but it's very technical.
Yeah.
They have to blast the vessel down, the hull and the keel of barnacles and everything. And then they measure the thickness of the paint to be painted. And the finish and all that. So it's pretty technical.
Yeah. And historically, what is interesting is that a lot of the fitters and the people in the technical trades during the colonial period were the Cantonese.
Oh, yes. Yes. And of course, later on, you have other dialects joining up. Those living in the area wanting to learn the trade, apply for the jobs and things like that.
Yeah. And I think that's
because
Go ahead.
Because they see the British as a very, I will not say reliable, I mean, like a place where you can actually work from cradle to grave kind of situation, long-lasting permanence of employment
Until the pullout, right?
until the decision to pull out.
Okay, tell us why in those days it was good to work for the British, besides what you just said.
I don't know about many other places, but as I know where I work in the finance department and my friends in the other associate departments, the British officers in charge of us were actually very liberal. They weren't slave drivers as anyone would imagine, like you have a master slave kind of situation. In our case, we were so liberal that we took actually advantage. We sat on the top of their heads, literally.
Like, what did y'all do?
For example, in my case, for myself, my office hours are 8:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. 8:30, I'm still at home. Can any employer tolerate that?
Not today.
At 4 o'clock, I'm home. I'm at home, ready to play football. So, and in between, I must tell you what we did too. We were very, I don't know, I think we exploited the whole situation. We were given lunch, an hour lunch break from 12 o'clock. So that's our lunchtime is 12 to 1. But these British guys, they opt to take their lunch half an hour later from 12:30 to 1:30. So what is the gap between 1 and 1:30? There is for us. We play monkey that half an hour. We were not at work, we were monkeying around until they come in at 1:30. So they don't complain, they don't really drive us at all. I think partly because most of us were responsible enough for the jobs that were given to us. We met deadlines. In fact, for my team, myself and my team, we always gang out and say, hey, if we have to play monkey with them, we make sure our work is finished way on time and correct, accurate, because it's all handwork before we monkey around. So we start work at 8:30 and 10 o'clock we have coffee break. Instead of getting the guy to supply coffee from the canteen into the office, we go to the canteen and while away our time down there for the next 20 minutes or so. There were times we ordered a fish head curry in advance and then we go there and eat our fish head curry during coffee time. That kind of liberty we have. In less than 2 hours, we will go home for a lunch break at 12 o'clock. And 2:30, we have another coffee break. 1.5 hours later, 4 o'clock is time to finish work. So in that 6.5 hours day work, frankly, I think we did at the very most 3 hours work. The rest is all just whiling away time.
I want to talk a bit more about that. Do you think that is maybe because, I mean, partly it's because of the way the British work, right? Is their work culture. But also, is it also telling us that the naval base and the British military forces in Singapore were kind of past their time, right? Like after the Second World War, the threat of Japan is no more. The naval base was part of a British naval strategy to check the expansion and the military power of Japan in the 1920s and 1930s. No more already after the war, and Japan became a peaceful nation. There was a threat of the Cold War, right, that you can see from China becoming communist. And in Southeast Asia, some of the countries also had communist movements, especially the country just to the north of us. They had an emergency. Yes. In your time at the naval base, did you ever have had a sense that there could be war and that the naval base could be mobilized?
We had an experience short of a war. Remember President Sukarno's confrontation in 62, 63, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
So we had a situation like that alerted the whole British forces.
So you're mobilized, you had drills and all that, is it?
No, for us as civilians, we were pretty calm. We were not introduced to it, but we can see the movements of the uniformed people. And then the ships were more in action. They are toing and froing the waters. Like my brother, who was an apprentice with the British in the Air Force, he was based in RAF Tengah. He was called up for duty because he was in uniform in at the time when he was an apprentice with the Air Force. So he has to be on standby. So for us CVs, we were just left alone, and all the other works were all the uniform people were handling. The naval part was all in the naval base. The armies and the Air Force, they have their own alerts. You have Changi Base, Air Force, you have Tengah, and then you have the armies in Chibi Gardens in Alexandra, Nisun, and all places like that. They were all on the alert.